Hello everyone, my name is Vinay Kumar Sharma and I welcome all of you once again in my YouTube channel. Dear students, in today's video we are going to discuss about the chapter number 3 of history of grade 7th, the Delhi Sultan. After watching this video, dear students, you people will be able to understand about the political situation during the late medieval period in a better way. I will give you the introduction of the Delhi Sultans in a detail. We will study about the sources of the Delhi Sultanate period, and in the last, dear students, we will discuss about the Slave Dynasty and its rulers in detail. So without further delay, let's get started. First of all, see on the timeline which time period, dear students, we are going to study. So if we see the timeline, then we come to know that we are going to study the time period from 1200 AD to 1500 AD. During this time period, what happened in India, especially in the northern India, this we are going to study. Now let me give you the brief introduction about the Delhi Sultanate. The time period from 1206 to 1526 is known as the time period of Delhi Sultanate, because during this time most of the rulers of North India made their capital Delhi. During this time, 5 dynasties ruled over Delhi and its surrounding areas. These dynasties who ruled over Delhi and its surrounding areas were the Slave Dynasty, the Khalji Dynasty, the Tughluq Dynasty, the Sayyid Dynasty, and the Lodhi Dynasty. Now, dear students, let's have a look over the sources available to us related to the Sultanate period. Coins, monuments, accounts of travelers, and court chronicles are the most valuable sources of this period. Many foreign travelers like Marco Polo, Ibn Battuta, Ziauddin Barani, Minhaj Asiraz visited India during this time. I mean to say from 1206 to 1526. They have written in detail about the court proceedings of different sultans and about the conditions of that time, which tell us to know about the Sultanate period. If we have a look over the other sources available related to this period, then we come to know that during that time different historical buildings like Qutub Minar, Alai Darwaja, House Khas, and Char Minar were constructed. So by studying these historical buildings, we come to know about the architectural style and the religious purpose of those people. Coins of different metals like gold, silver, and coppers were also issued by the different rulers of this time. Like the second slave ruler Iltutmish issued during his time 2 silver coins with the name Jital and Tanka. Now, dear students, let's study about the first dynasty of this period. The first dynasty of this period was the Slave Dynasty. But before talking about the Slave Dynasty, you should know the meaning of the word dynasty. Dynasty means a series of rulers of a country who all belong to the same family. In simple words, we can say that when the rulers of the same family rule for a very long time, then that is called dynasty. Now let's talk about the Slave Dynasty. This dynasty is called the Slave Dynasty because most of the rulers of this dynasty were slaves. Now the question arises that who were the slaves? Slaves were the men and women who were owned by the other men and women. In the ancient time, dear students, men and women of poor parents were sold and bought like the things we buy and sold nowadays. So these persons were called slave because most of the rulers of this dynasty were the slaves. That's why this dynasty is also known as the Slave Dynasty. Other names of this dynasty are Mamluk and Ilbari dynasty. If we talk about the main rulers of the Slave Dynasty, then we come to know that there were four main rulers who ruled over the Delhi and its surrounding areas. These rulers were Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, Shamsu-ud-Din Iltutmish, Razia Sultan and Ghiasuddin Balban. Now dear students, let's study about these rulers one by one in detail. First we will study about the founder of the Slave Dynasty, and his name was Qutb-ud-Din Aibak. He ruled over the Delhi and its surrounding areas from 1206 to 1210. He was the first ruler of this dynasty. After Muhammad Ghori's death, Qutb-ud-Din Aibak began to rule as an independent ruler. Dear students, we have studied in the chapter number 2 of history that after the second battle of the Rhine, which was fought in 1192, Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan, the famous Chauhan ruler. And after the death of Prithviraj Chauhan, Delhi and its surrounding areas came direct under the control of Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori did not merge this area in his own territory, but he made Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, who was the slave of the Muhammad Ghori, in charge of this area, and he himself went back to his own capital Ghor. On the way, Muhammad Ghori was killed, and taking advantage of this situation, Qutb-ud-Din Aibak declared himself independent ruler of the Slave Dynasty in Delhi. He was a kind-hearted king. People named him Lakh Baksh because of his generosity. Because he was giving lakhs of rupees to the needy persons, that's why people called him Lakh Baksh. During his reign, he started the construction of the famous historical building Qutb Minar, but he could not complete this construction work due to his sudden death. Actually, one day he was playing the polo game and he fell down from the horse back and died, due to which this task could not be completed, and he ruled over Delhi and its surrounding areas for only 4 years, from 1206 to 1210. After the death of Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, his son Aram Shah was made the ruler of Delhi, but he was an incapable person, and taking advantage of this situation, the son-in-law of Qutb-ud-Din Aibak defeated Aram Shah, and he himself became the ruler of Delhi. When Iltutmish became the ruler of Delhi, at that time he faced many problems, but he dealt all these problems strongly. That's why Iltutmish is known as the real founder of the Slave Dynasty. He defeated the Rajput rulers of Ranthambore and the rulers of Ujjain during this time. When Iltutmish became the ruler of the Delhi, at that time, most of the nobles or ministers were against him. In order to crush the power of these ministers, Iltutmish made a group of 40 powerful Turks and he named this group Chalisa. During his time, he also introduced two coins, Tanka and Jeetal. Tanka was a silver coin, whereas Jeetal was a copper coin. Iltutmish had many sons, but he did not trust anyone. That's why he declared his daughter Razia as his successor. Successor means after the death of Iltutmish, he declared that the next ruler of Delhi would be Razia Sultan. After the death of Iltutmish, his son Runku-ud-Din Firoz Shah was made the ruler of Delhi, but he was an incapable person. He took pleasure in riding through the streets of Delhi on an elephant and squatting gold among the people, due to which he could not rule for a very long time because he had no interest in the court affairs. People decided that the next ruler would be Razia Sultan. Razia Sultan was the first and the last Muslim woman ruler of the medieval India. She began to wear male attire, attire means clothes, and rode out in public on elephant's back. She was ahead from the women of that time. At that time, to women such type of freedom was not given. But she did all these things which normal men, especially the kings, were doing at that time. The nobles or the ministers opposed her because they hated taking order from a woman. That's why they plotted and disposed her in 1240. It means they made any kind of plans against her and removed her from the throne or from the post, and soon after this she died in 1240. After that, if we talk about the time period from 1240 to 1266, many rulers ruled, but historically these rulers are not very much important. I am just giving you the name of the rulers who ruled during 1240 to 1266. These rulers were Moizuddin Bahram Shah, Alauddin Masood Shah, and Nasruddin Mahmud. After this, Balban became the ruler of the Slave Dynasty. He himself was the member of Chalisa, a group of the Turk which was made by Iltutmish. He was the most powerful ruler of the Slave Dynasty. He defeated many local rulers who stood or spoken against the Balban. In order to increase the respect for a king in people's eyes, he started two Persian customs, Sajda and Paibos. Sajda means to bend down in front of a king, and Paibos means to kiss the feet of a king. People criticized him for introducing these customs. According to the people, such customs were reserved for God, not for any king. He also started the festival of Nowruz, which was the Persians' New Year. During his time, he given the tough fight to the Mongols who were attacking on the Delhi every year. But during this battle, his own son was died, and his son's death was a smashing blow to Balban, and after that he could not bear the shock of this and he died in 1286. In this way, this dynasty ended and new dynasty with the name Khalji Dynasty started. So dear students, this is all about in today's video. I hope you people would have learned something new, interesting and knowledgeable. So like this, you keep learning and keep growing. God bless you all. Thank you very much.